record. Oh, what happened? Okay, there we are. We're live now. Hey, everybody. I have a special guest today for my 50th Booktube video. Woo, woo. Yesterday was my official 3-month anniversary as a booktuber, and today is my 50th video. And most of you probably already know my special guest, Steve Donoghue.
Hello, Booktube.
We have a whole list of things to talk about. We probably won't even get into most of them.
No, probably not. Probably all be about Price of the Phoenix.
Well, you know, we can cross-celebrate off the list because I already did raised the roof.
Some sort of rave thing.
Are you old enough to remember the raise the roof thing?
I'm only 28. I'm a digital native.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't remember that. You were just a kid.
I was just a kid. But yeah, today I'm talking with Ben Sanders. Oh, no, he's not on Booktube anymore. No, I'm talking with Alex Sorondo. No, he's not on Booktube anymore. Okay, here, let me scroll up a little. I'm talking to Juan at Just Juan. Oh, no, he's not on Booktube anymore. Yeah. Okay, well, it's David Murphy. No, he's not on Booktube anymore. Well, you must be Jason Harrigan. No. Mark Richardson. No. No. So my question for you is, do you want to be talking to me?
Oh, yeah, man, of course.
I seem to be the typhoid Mary of Booktube.
No, you'll have a hard time running me off. I don't have anything else to do. My daughter, my smart-ass daughter, I have 2 daughters. One of them is a bigger smart-ass than the other. They're both smart-asses. But the bigger of the two, the more smart-ass one, said, Dad, I'm so glad you found something to do with your time. Thanks, honey. That was how I spent Father's Day. Hey, let's talk about Diaries for a minute.
Diaries?
Yeah, a few months ago.
Kick off with your crazy antisocial psychopathic governor. No water breaks during 120-degree weather? What on earth? What is wrong with your governor? But we don't have to talk about that. Imagine passing a bill to outlaw water breaks in summer in Texas.
Nuts.
He's nuts. That is just
surprises me.
That's not just, MAGA or whatever. That's being a psychopath. That's a full-blown psychopath. I'm hoping that every employer in the whole state simply ignores that and pays the fine. Right. What are you going to do? Have employers keel over on the sidewalk?
Well, I guess that's one less paycheck to send out or something. I don't know. That's lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. Well, today's the summer solstice, which I'm sure you're aware of. But it's cloudy here today. Go figure that.
Yeah, I married my dad 3 different times on 3 different summer solstices. We kept hoping it would work out, but no, no, it didn't. There's someone I wish hadn't been given water breaks.
Yeah. Did you write about it in your diary, though?
Oh, right, diaries, right? Yes, yes, we were going to do that. Why are diaries on your mind?
Well, I was hoping you'd ask that. Not long ago, or you know what? It may have been long ago. I can't tell time anymore. One of the things that they never warned me about with cancer meds is time passes differently while you're on cancer meds. I don't know if something happened a week ago, a month ago, or 6 months ago. I honestly can't tell anymore. I knew it was my 3-month anniversary yesterday just because I looked at the dates, because they're all time and date stamped when you post the videos. But not long ago, you had recommended a book called The Book of One's Own by, I think the author's name is Thomas Mallon.
Yes, Randy, that was yesterday.
Okay. So this
was yesterday,
and I'm not finished with it, but I love the book, and of course I love teaching the Diary of Samuel Pepys long ago when I taught high school. So it had me thinking about diaries, and you did another really cool video about how to keep a diary, and I sent one of my multiple girl Fridays off to buy me some spiral notebooks so I can attempt to do a better job of keeping diaries. The other thing about Thomas Mallon that's cool is he's written more than just that book about diaries.
Oh, I know.
Finale, a novel of the Reagan years.
I am well familiar with his weird historical fiction. I've reviewed most of it.
Well,
I don't know what to make of it. I honestly don't know what to make of it. I know what to make of it on the page. I just don't know why anyone who is sane, maybe he's not sane anymore. He was sane when he wrote a book of one's own. Maybe he's not sane anymore.
I have that, and there's another one that he wrote about letters.
Yes.
I have both of them.
Letters is really good too. But what am I supposed to say about an author who writes a historical novel about Watergate where Nixon is the misunderstood hero? What am I supposed to think about a book about Katrina and George W. Bush, in which he's the misunderstood hero. What on earth? What on earth am I supposed to do with that?
Well, am I to guess that finale portrays Reagan as a misunderstood hero too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. And I savaged the Watergate book. I savaged the Katrina book. I mean, it was harder to savage the Reagan book because during the Reagan years, we were all sort of living historical fiction. We were all sort of, it was a fantasy land just from start to finish, just from top to bottom. The news was fantasy, it felt like. But the other two couldn't be any more clear cut. And what purpose are you serving if you write a historical novel that simply does it wrong? Why would you do that? I don't get it at all. Bush had plenty of warning for Hurricane Katrina. He had plenty of experts telling him how bad it would be.
Right.
And he pretty much ignored them. Then once he knew how bad it was, he downplayed it. Heck of a job. Bodies floating in the streets, and he's downplaying things. It was an absolutely, no pun intended, catastrophic presidential response. Right up on the level of throwing paper towels to people desperate for fresh drinking water. Oh, we've drifted into politics again, haven't we?
Yeah, we didn't even mean to.
We
We
don't
were talking about Diaries.
Right, Diaries, yes, indeed. Right, Diaries, yes, indeed. And also how you're going to do it. How are you going to keep your diary?
Right, right.
I made it clear what philosophies I like. You should not be trying to impress anyone. You should be writing for yourself.
Right.
You're writing for your future self. And your future self, we don't like to think it, but your future self is going to be far more interested in where you went for lunch and how much money you spent. That's how much a cheeseburger cost back then. Your future self is going to be far more interested in that than your chin-stroking ponderings about the nature of reality. so definitely, even if you're going to leave the chin-stroking ponderings in, put in the real world stuff.
Well,
that's why I always advocate a little box on the side. When you make your date for your journal entry, put a little box on the side and draw a box around it and fill that with the practical stuff. What did you get in the mail?
Right.
What money did you spend during the day? How much money did you spend and where? Not to track your finances like a finance bureau, but because the future you is going to be interested in that.
Right.
What did you, all that sort of stuff, put that in there, even if you're going to write, even if you're going to palather about philosophy bro stuff. I love it though. But the choices that you're going to have are usually going to come down to when you do it and how you do it. So there are confirmed morning journal writers who will they'll open their journal in the morning and write about the previous day.
Right, right.
And then there are confirmed, most of them, Pepys, for instance, always wanted to be a confirmed evening journalist.
Right.
You pause at the end of your day, take a deep mental breath, and look back on what happened on that day. And try and make some sense out of it. Try and put it in perspective. Try to think about what you feel about it. Pepys was often 3 sheets to the wind at that time of night, so he often just penitentially caught up the next morning. but most people that I know are nighttime journal. I am a nighttime journal keeper. I wait until the bulk of the evening is done. I do it mainly because we're not guaranteed the morning. So I wanted to reflect on the day, and it helps so much. Oh my God. In addition to being so much fun, and I would argue so useful to writers, it's also so helpful to just do that. Take a pause and think about what happened to you today. Did you waste the day? I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, I'm excited to get started. I read a book called Atomic Habits. And I'm not generally a fan of self-help stuff or motivational stuff, but I thought Atomic Habits was actually really practical. And some of the advice in there was, if you're having trouble starting a journaling habit, start really small and just write 1 sentence a night.
Right. That was the part of Atomic Habits that I really liked, was not just for journal keeping, but for anything. He says, he makes a point of stressing that we're not talking about a giant philosophical overhaul of your life. We're talking about a habit.
Right.
If something is a habit, you will do it. If it's not a habit, you're much less likely to do it.
Right.
So build your habits. Habits don't start fully formed. You have to build them. He's right about that. He might be motivational in other parts of the book, but he's right about that. Definitely.
No, it was excellent. It was, yeah, it was really top. It would be toward the top. If I had to put together a list of self-help books, and this came up a while back because at one time, believe it or not, I hosted a podcast with a really narrow niche. I hosted a podcast for people who ran websites about the game of poker. Believe it or not, we had about 20 listeners every episode.
So there's a podcast for everything.
Yeah. And I was, even then, one of the oldest people in the industry, the poker website industry. Now, I'm a dinosaur. But I had a young man ask me, if you were going to recommend a general self-help book, what would you recommend? And he was on a discussion board somewhere that was related to the poker podcast. And everybody's recommending stuff like Awaken the Giant Within. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, marginally better. But of course, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. You could probably go back further than that, but still, if you're going to do American self-help, why not start with that? After all, my high school history teacher said he was the real father of our country.
God help us.
And they snickered about it because the double entendre was intentional.
I'll guess. Yeah, if he's the father of our country, we should all want a paternity test.
Right. But yeah, so somebody told me they'd never heard the word brotivation before my video the other day about how to read 1,000 books a year.
I coined it myself. It seemed necessary as a word.
Well,
I'll never forget it.
I've been meaning to watch your video on the same subject, but I haven't watched it yet. But
now my Ali Abdaal video is pretty brutal. It's pretty ruthless, but it deserves to be. He has a wide reach. If I were talking about some kid with 60 subscribers, I would have been more gentle. But we're talking about
huge subscribership.
Yeah. Yeah, all these motivational people. We missed our calling, Randy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so we're doing Booktube.
At one time, when I was in my early 30s, my plan was to become a coach, a life coach. And a terrible idea. I was
you'd be rolling in dough. It's a terrible idea, but you'd be rolling in dough.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it was big money. Well, I used to there used to be a place in Dallas that taught classes, but they weren't college classes. They were just to make you a better rounded person, fun ed. And I taught juggling classes there. I taught people how to juggle. And I've taught hundreds of people to juggle, by the way. And I used to be really good at it. But I took a class in there about how to make $100,000 a year as a life coach. And other than getting the clients, which at the time, it was a little bit before the rise of the internet, or right at the crest of the internet. I didn't know how to use it. If I had my marketing knowledge that I had now and the lack of scruples that I had then, I could be rolling in dough as a life coach right now. Now I wouldn't dream of telling anybody I was, there's certain kinds of advice I'm qualified to give and certain kinds of advice I'm not qualified to give. If you want to know how to get started reading Shakespeare, I'm your guy. You want to know how to navigate a romantic relationship? I can tell you what not to do, maybe. Read some Emily Henry novels, maybe.
The whole motivational grifter circuit. I once thought that it was a lot more funny and harmless than I now think it is. It was different before the disaffected dropouts from the motivational grifter circuit shot up schools. And now they do. Now we know who shoots up schools, and it's these people, and it's because the internet has got hold of it. I didn't know, I was okay with one nut in a bell tower over a campus or Lee Harvey Oswald. I was okay with one random nut now and again, but the internet wants to turn them out. The internet wants to play on people's insecurities, the insecurities of men between the ages of 18 and 25, so that they can make money out of it. And these grifters, their attitude is, well, as long as I get their money, if they snap a stitch down the line and shoot up a school, well, at least I got my money. It's just, that's why I always wish that these grifters had to spend an hour in the same room with everyone that's buying their classes.
Right.
At least Tony Robbins works a room.
Works masterfully.
And he doesn't just work it from up on the stage. He walks out into the audience and he tells the security detail, leave me the hell alone. I'm going to walk out into the audience. I'm going to talk to these people. At least he does that. At least he puts himself on the line. What does Ali Abdaal put on the line? Nothing at all. He has cutouts to stop him from ever having any contact with anyone at all.
I did walk on burning coals at the Tony Robbins seminar. I went to Unleash the Power Within. This was not a recent thing. This was when I was in my early 30s. But I went to Unleash the Power Within, and actually, you know, they tell you at the beginning, you think you're not, you know, it's voluntary. You think you're not going to walk on the burning coals, but you will. And I think most of the people in the room do, because it's an exercise in mass hypnosis. It's amazing. And they get you into this state where, you know, they have you jumping up and down because they want to put you in a peak state. And so you're physically exhausted. They don't have a lunch break, so you're hungry. And they have little call and response things throughout where you're supposed to raise your fist up in the air and yell, yes. And so then at the end of the day, when it comes time to sell their expensive products, because Unleash the Power Within was cheap at the time, $300 or $400, something like that. And I got my boss to pay for it at work. But, you know, they have the real expensive seminars that they want to upgrade you to. And so they've got you primed to say yes to anything with all these classic brainwashing techniques. You're exhausted, you're hungry, you've been forced to say yes repeatedly throughout the day via peer pressure. And now they're trying to sell you a $5,000 Mastery University course where you get to hang out in the Fijis with Tony and 6 other people or something. And it's like, man, you compare that to the cost of actually going to college and getting real skills, you know? And you realize just how schemy it really is.
I've tried those mass hypnosis techniques on my channel, and they don't work.
Well, apparently they do. You've got 14,000 subscribers.
I try all these mass hypnosis techniques to get them to do whatever I want, and I end up going to the post office and mailing them books. So something's wrong here.
Well, don't mail away that copy of the Bible, because you're going to need it to understand Cormac McCarthy, right?
I'm still reeling from that. Are you referring to the comment in Steve? For those of you who don't know, I did a live stream and somebody left a comment saying the reason I don't like Cormac McCarthy is because I don't understand him. And the reason I don't understand him is because I don't understand the Bible.
Right. Well, I laughed harder at that than I did at your Price of the Phoenix, or the Fate of the Phoenix review was the one I laughed really hard at. It is funny how your perspective of books change, because, of course, when I read The Price of the Phoenix the first time, I liked it, but I thought it was weird. The next time I read it, I didn't like it. And then this time when I read it, I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
The Fate of the Phoenix, I didn't have that reaction to. But the Prometheus design, holy mackerel. That was a fun video to make.
The key is to split. You know, when you're young and you read something and you like it, your certainty is not just that you liked it, it's that it's great.
Right.
And as you get older, I hope you realize those two things are separate. If you don't pull those apart, you're going to be a defensive reader your whole life. And you're going to start making ridiculous claims about Cormac McCarthy. You have to pull those apart, or you're not going to get anywhere. You'll be able to enjoy things, but you won't get anywhere in terms of not making a damn fool of yourself on the internet. The responses on Twitter to McCarthy's death, oh my God. I didn't think I was going to live through them.
A lot of wailing. I've never been able to finish Blood Meridian.
No, why would you be able to?
First time, I didn't even get very far.
No.
Second time, I got about halfway through, but
the only consolation that I can offer you is that McCarthy didn't finish Blood Meridian either. So you're in good company.
That's funny.
But a point that I was going to make, well, my last point about keeping a diary, is that it's also a great exercise for writing if you do it that way. So let's say you open your diary to a blank page. You've got one page. Let's tell yourself, I'm not going to write any more than this one page, and I'm not going to pick a philosophical subject. What I'm going to do in this page is accurately convey not only the essence, but the facts of my day. So all of a sudden, you've got the world's best impromptu writing prompt and a time limit. I'm going to give myself 45 minutes. I'm not going to take any longer than that. And I've only got this one page. I'm not going to leave anything out, and I'm going to convey everything that was of importance. So did I have a conversation earlier today with my father? Okay, when was it? Where was it? What did I notice? What do I remember? If you do that for 6 months straight every day, at the end of 6 months, you'll be able to reconstitute spoken dialogue, and you'll have a very good accuracy rate. So not only will that be giving you a clearer possession of the things that actually happen to you, but if you have to wrestle all of that into prose that accurately conveys it on one page in half an hour, oh my God, at the end of 6 months, your writing ability, your sheer physical writing ability, that was a horn. Somebody saying that the person in front of them wasn't going fast enough at 50 miles an hour. Want to go faster than that. But that's the sort of thing that will make you a better writer without shelling out $100,000 for an MFA workshop.
Right.
The graduates of MFA workshops who get their book deals with Farrar, Straus, and Giroux very obviously can't do that. You read their, just read their fiction. You'll see they can't do that. So that's another pitch for all of the dude bros out there who are thinking that maybe keeping a diary is, soy. If they're thinking it's a soy boy thing, you'll actually get better at writing if you do it.
Well, that's a funny thing that I learned very quickly. I manage a team of bloggers off and on, and hire writers to write blogs. And I live in a university town. There's two universities here, UNT and TWU, University of North Texas and Texas Women's University. And of course, I majored in English. And so when I'm hiring writers here, it's fairly easy to run a classified ad in the school newspaper. Although I don't even know that they both do print newspapers anymore. My daughter's the editor-in-chief and the managing editor for the TWU school paper, but I think it's digital only now.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a shame.
So I used to hire English writers.
We're not sure of that, though. We're not sure that they don't still have their printing presses?
I think they might put out an occasional special edition. Now, UNT had a newspaper called the NT Daily, and I don't think they publish a print version of it every day.
Oh, come on. They can't have gone belly up. That has to still be running.
I wouldn't swear to it. I think they print a weekly print edition, like on Sundays. The rest of it's online only. And the same, TWU doesn't even do a weekly one. They do an occasional special edition.
That's a shame.
But my daughter, I'm so proud of her. She wrote an essay, and had to do with Disney villains and sexuality. But it had one of the best leads I've ever read. I was so proud of it. I showed it off to everybody. I can still remember it. It said, when I was a little girl, I wanted to kiss a mermaid. That's a good opening line right there. So anyway, the point I was getting to was when I was hiring writers, I tried to hire writers from the creative writing program or from the literature program or from the journalism program. Invariably, the people from the journalism program always made the best bloggers every single time. No. I hired a creative writing instructor who couldn't write a blog post to save her life. She's cute though, but
yeah, that's why I lament the disappearance of those little college daily newspapers. They were great incubators for journalistic writers. It always breaks my heart when one after another of them just sort of disappears.
Well, I grew up in Bonham, Texas, and we had a newspaper there called the Bonham Daily Favorite that had been in publication since the 1840s or 1850s. And they went out of business before the internet came along. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of them do. I mean, you've got rising rents, and usually you don't have your printing press in the same building where you have your newsroom. So you've got two places to rent, two mortgages to pay or whatnot. It's a terrible shame. Those little papers do exist all throughout the country, but most of them just do wire stuff. Most of them don't have original copy, right? Or anyway, not a lot of it, and that's a shame. That's a real shame. Once upon a time, every town in the American West and Midwest had two papers, and we're not talking about the national papers. They had two papers of their own.
Yeah, and Dallas had two.
Yeah, and the people in town wrote for them, that's an inestimable thing. It's a terrible shame when that goes away.
Well, the death of journalism.
Boston used to have multiple papers.
Yeah.
Multiple serious papers. And
Dallas had the Dallas Morning News and the Dallas Times Herald. Billy,
and the
drive-in movie theater critic, Joe Bob Briggs. Joe Bob Briggs
cut his teeth in Dallas. But the Dallas Morning News is the only one of those that's still up and running, right?
Yeah, the Times Herald went out years and years and years ago, which is too bad because they also used to run Molly Ivins' column, and she was so great, man.
Wow. So
Great.
they went out of business. That is terrible. And
Really
there's nothing.
cool lady too. I met her. She was delightful. She was so funny.
Does Dallas have like an alternative paper? Like
yeah, there's the Dallas Observer, and it's the alternative free paper, and it's really small now. And they still print it. I used to work there. I sold advertising there 20 years ago. But
Boston used to have the Boston Phoenix, this alternative paper. You got a lot for your money with every issue. A lot of times it wasn't. It was just in a free handout box. But it's gone. The Phoenix folded. The Boston Herald is a rag. It's the Daily Inquirer, and the Boston Globe it's still A list of the B list, but it's seen better days in terms of content. So, although they always do right by me, they always do right by me when I've got a bee in my bonnet to review a book.
I can't remember the last time. Used to be I'd go to Denny's or to the Waffle House for breakfast, and they had a newspaper machine out there, vending machine.
Oh yeah,
they're gone. Put a quarter in there, and you can buy a newspaper to read while you wait for your ham and eggs.
Yeah,
I can't remember the last time I saw a newspaper.
Oh no, they don't. They don't exist.
Yeah, they don't exist.
They had those. You had those vending boxes, and then you had the trucks that had to go and deliver to them, and you had to pay the drivers and whatnot. No, that doesn't happen. The one that was on the corner here was torn out of the sidewalk probably 15 years ago.
Well, Barnes and Noble still carries newspapers. I understand, but I haven't been to Barnes and Nobles in a couple of years. My health's kept me in the house. So, because I've been undergoing cancer treatment now for 15 months. Yeah. So, I get out very rarely.
Can I ask how that's going?
You can. It's going all right. I had a respite from my meds for a little while, which I shouldn't have really had. There was a hiccup with my insurance, with my health insurance. And they'd given me an extension on my time to pay, but then they forgot about giving me the extension, so they canceled my insurance. And my cancer meds cost a fortune without insurance. No one can afford the cancer meds that I take. And so I got it resolved. It took about 2 weeks, but now I'm back on all my cancer meds again. So, which, I would prefer to be the kind of guy who posts a video or two a day. My energy cycles, because I take steroids once a week. So I don't know if you watch my videos on Monday or Tuesday, you noticed how fast I'm talking or how red my face is, but that's all steroid energy. I'm on dexamethasone.
Yeah,
the word meth right in the name, man.
The red face is a dead giveaway.
Yeah. It's crazy because I look even more like Santa Claus with the red cheeks.
So what are your reflections on these anniversaries of yours?
Well,
do you have an enemies list?
An enemies list? No, but the Spaminators finally found me.
Yes, you emailed me the spam. I have, those of you who don't know what the hell we're talking about, I have a supervillain on the channel, the Spaminator. Right. And he wormed his way onto my channel, and then he found my live streams. So everybody else got to experience the Spaminator, and now he's found poor Randy. Right. Well, I feel like I've joined the Justice League. He's not all that good a supervillain, but he's the best we can do on books.
I was so excited when he started commenting on my videos. I'm like, I've made it.
The next step for you, the thing that I've noticed as this summer began, is there's a noticeable lack in your Booktube experience, and that is you as an invited co-host on some Booktube events.
Right.
That's the one thing left, because your channel is great. You read widely. You're friendly. The only thing left is. And you're also, more importantly, you're on the same wavelength with a lot of Booktube events that already exist.
Right.
So if I weren't afraid of Stephen E. Andrews, the outlaw bookseller, I would create Sci-Fi July, and we would co-host. I would invite a whole bunch of science fiction fans. But I'm afraid that he'll blow a gasket or send me a box of scorpions if I start calling it sci. We're not supposed to call it sci-fi.
Oh no.
But surely I could make the point with him that it's euphonious. Right. nothing rhymes with SF.
Right, exactly. Well,
I'd love to do that. That'd be so much fun. The Bookish Bryant's made New Worlds November, but it's just November and they're not around anymore. So that always feels weird to me.
Well, so I was thinking, I think I discussed this with you before, but Michael K. Vaughan's going to have us read all of Conan in September.
Yes, indeed.
So I thought,
I'd love it if it were
have
called.
an event where we read all of Elric in October.
It's just that Conan is so much fun.
Elric's fun too.
A month of Elric would have everybody in therapy at the end of the month.
I love the Elric.
Well, so do I, but
Well,
they're not the same thing.
It's obviously point counterpoint kind of thing because Elric was meant to be the antithesis of Conan. So
yeah, the calendar is wide open for a bunch of Booktube events that don't exist. There isn't a big one for historical fiction.
Right.
I would always love, every year, I always hope somebody's going to make I Spy July, where we talk about espionage, fiction and nonfiction. And they're not out there yet, right. They just don't do it. But it'll come with time,
It does seem like there are, I noticed there haven't been a lot of Book Trek videos from anyone but you and me. And of course, I can't keep up with you, but I've got the 3 book reviews in there, which is a lot for me. But I've noticed some people are starting to post now. I'm seeing some more Book Trek videos.
I'm starting to feel a little self-conscious about the 10-to-1 ratio. Just a little. It takes me this long to get self-conscious about it because I love talking about Star Trek. But maybe in July I should slow down.
Are you going to do the Prometheus design video today?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait.
Design and also Triangle.
Yeah,
and I also want to do a Star Trek tag. At least one. I haven't done that,
well,
but
I was thinking about a Star Trek tag too.
But what
I can make a tag?
Getting back to your milestone here on Booktube, what if you were to take a 30,000 foot view? What are you thinking of all this? I bet I can guess. This is years ago I used to say, Booktube is just a completely positive addition to your life. It's something you reach out and add to your life that's positive.
Oh, yeah. I'm reading more than ever. I'm spending less time on my phone. The time that I am spending on my phone, I'm interacting with people who read.
Doesn't it, in a weird way, make reading feel less solitary?
Yes, absolutely it does.
But not in the wrong way. I mean, the wrong way to make reading feel less solitary is that you're part of the cool girls group, Right. And this doesn't do that. This isn't that. Instead, it's a whole bunch of genuine readers out there.
Well, it's funny too. At first, I was really camera shy because I have experience doing public speaking, but I don't have a lot of experience doing stuff on camera. And then I realized I'm just talking to myself. I can see myself on camera when I'm talking to people. And then I watched some of my videos. At first, it's the whole, oh God, I don't really sound like that, do I? Oh, I look terrible. I keep touching my nose. I say all the time. And turns out, I think I'm reasonably engaging on screen. I was talking with Clifford Lee Sargent, Better Than Food. I guess it was a week ago, but he's mentioned this twice now. He's watched my YouTube channel, and he said, "I don't know how you do it, man." He said, "Everything I do is scripted. You just sit there and talk."
Yeah.
He said, "How do you do that?" I was like, "Well, I don't know, man. I don't know how you follow a script without me noticing." Because
that's also skill. That is actually true.
Yeah,
that's
it's
also
pretty impressive. Because
I don't know how you would follow a script, period. Whether I know it or not, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Cue cards. So, he's got an interesting channel because, I get a lot of book recommendations from Booktube, and he's about 50-50 with me. I don't know that I would have read The Quiet American without his recommendation, which I absolutely loved. Quiet American was terrific. But on the other hand, Crash by J.G. Ballard, if I never read that again, it'll be too soon. I hated that book. It was awful.
So do you experience the typical thing that booktubers always report, that suddenly Booktube is in your mind when you're picking books off a shelf or when you're shopping at a used bookstore or anything like that, that suddenly Booktube is on your mind. These people that you never met and are never going to meet.
My daughter got me a copy of Emily Henry's book for Father's Day. Book Lovers is the name of the book. And of course, yesterday I'm really going to put a dent in Lonesome Dove because June on the Range isn't going to last forever. I've got 2 weeks. But she asked me if I'd started it yet, and I told her no, but I will. And here I am, 200 pages later. I can't put Book Lovers down. It's terrific.
What about Lonesome Dove? What about
God, I love it too. I love it too. I took a break to do some Star Trek reading, and I loved the Prometheus design so much. That was such a hoot. We've got 2.5 minutes, by the way. This is
okay.
timed.
I actually thought about giving Lonesome Dove a reread for June on the Range, but I just read it last year. I love reading it, but I just did, so I'm going to force myself not to do it.
Well, I love a big fat novel.
But so you mentioned that because of the cancer treatments, you don't get out much.
No, I get out to. I have a doctor's appointment once a month that's 60 miles from here, and I go out for that, and then I make it out to eat once or twice a month, and that's about it. I might go to an AA meeting or 2 a month. But
not Denton's Great Used Bookstore.
No, it's just too much for me. It's too much exertion. It's a huge bookstore.
Yeah.
It's in the old Opera House building. It's got 3 stories. It's got multiple rooms. It's just, it's one of the reasons I moved back to this town. But yeah, I haven't been there in ages.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I like, the literary fiction and the contemporary fiction, most of it's upstairs. And upstairs is really difficult for me. Now, if I want mysteries or horror, that's not as bad because at least it used to be right there where you walked in. I don't think they moved entire departments, but
that's the thing people don't realize that have never gone through something like this is that you just hit a wall.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not a question of you going out and being tired and just toughing it out. You hit a wall. You can't do anything.
I never realized it was possible to be this tired.
You don't realize it until you're going through it. But you don't realize what that wall is like. That wall is not just being tired. That wall is you're going to sit down right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what you have to say about it. You're just going to sit down right now. You're done.
Or lie down.
Yeah.
On Father's Day, I went out for lunch and thought I was going to pass out.
Yeah. People think that it's just being tired. It's not just being tired.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to rule things out. That's a shame, though. I hope you get back there.
Well, I hope so, too. They told me I'd be in remission in 6 to 12 months, and that was 15 months ago. But I'm just going to stay the course and do what I'm told, So we've got less than a minute left. I don't want to cut us off in mid-conversation like we usually do. We're actually going to close out. But thank you for celebrating my 50th YouTube video with me, Steve. This was great.
Yes, I'm congratulations on everything except being found by the Spaminator. Condolences for that.
That might have been my biggest achievement of them all. Well, we'll do this again soon, okay?
Yes, indeed.
All righty. Thanks, everybody, for watching.